The Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials have come to their close, and we now start with a brand new era at Christmas time with a new Doctor and a new companion. So the big question is, were these specials exactly what we were hoping for a 60th? I mean, we had the return of David Tennant and Catherine Tate. It should be incredible. And it was, I'm gonna say, slightly underwhelming. Let's discuss. Now, a Doctor Who anniversary special is never an easy thing to do. Arguably, as the longer the show gets, the more stakes each anniversary has. And this anniversary did something very different to the normal formula. Because before this, we'd only really just had these specials classified as big crossover multi-Doctor moments. The 3 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, and the Day of the Doctor were all massive examples of anniversary specials that brought back past companions, actors, and Doctors in order to celebrate the show's lifetime. And it's usually a big story comprising of massive threats, including some of the show's most iconic villains and settings like the Daleks and Gallifrey. This time, however, it was very different, with 3 completely separate stories that didn't really have much of a link between them, rather just 3 episodes of Doctor Who. And this is where the problem comes in, because as episodes, they were perfectly fine, I'd say. If they had been episodes in a series of Doctor Who, I'd say they would have been high-up episodes in a good series. But as episodes to celebrate an anniversary like a 60th, they did feel a bit underwhelming. Even compared to other times when the show has just had a run of specials, I'd say in those other times it felt like there were more at stake. Like the original Tennant specials, which concluded with The Waters of Mars and The End of Time Part 1 and 2, 3 episodes which I think were all significantly better in stakes than the 3 that we've just had. The Star Beast I actually really liked as an idea, however it did feel almost like a filler episode you'd find in the middle of a series. There wasn't much high stakes, which there really should have been, like how when the Meep was about to blow up London, suddenly after they are defeated, London returned back to normal with little to no consequences. How they got rid of the meta-crisis Dr. Donna from killing Donna, I did like the concept at first. I think the idea of having the meta-crisis shared between Donna and her daughter makes so much sense, but then it was pretty much all undone by making Rose lack of a personality and making, because she was a trans character, all of her entire personality trait, that being the reason why the meta-crisis doesn't kill Donna, which I just think is really, really dumb. I think it was such a missed opportunity having Rose, because finally there was a trans representation, and yet the entire episode was focused on her being trans, and it was never integrated organically. I honestly couldn't tell you anything about Rose as a character apart from her identity and that she makes toys, not her likes or dislikes, nothing else. So it just made her really uninteresting, and then to have her basically become a plot device also doesn't look very good. And then suddenly the entire stakes of the Dr. Donna, ones which were very real in the End of Time when we'd seen Donna nearly begin to remember, were all just gone within the space of a few minutes, and how they got rid of the power just also seemed very unrealistic by just letting the power go because they were women. Like, you can't tell me that the Doctor and Donna would not have tried to just let that power go at the end of Series 4 if they could have. It seemed like a bit of a cheap way to get out of something hugely serious, purely so the rest of the episodes could happen. And the villains themselves did just seem like your monster of the week, very much filler with little to no stakes, which is perfect for your average Doctor Who episode, but for a 60th? Not really. However, you could say it's because it was the first episode and it needed to re-establish the Doctor and Donna's relationship, which I think it did well. And I will say the next 2 episodes significantly improved each time, but still didn't seem to reach those heights of an anniversary special. Wild Blue Yonder was a great concept, but again, didn't really feel like a celebratory episode, rather just another random episode. This episode did also suffer from the fact that it was hyped up to be the secretive episode, as it was the episode we knew the least about, and so therefore we were expecting massive things, like potentially the return of another Doctor, and then it wasn't, and so it did kind of just feel a bit underwhelming. And Russell T Davies has even stated he believed hiding a lot of it probably wasn't the best idea in hindsight, and then the episode itself had great ideas and creepy concepts, but it just felt like it was over before it had really even began, because there were so many great conversations happening between the Doctor and Donna and their counter selves, but because we had to be squeezed into only an hour-long slot, it suffered from having to be wrapped up before we got to fully explore the boundaries this idea could go to, and so therefore it felt even more underwhelming. And finally, we have the giggle, which I definitely think was the strongest and best episode out of all of them, but kind of suffered from the same underwhelming qualities that the first two episodes had as well. This one didn't have enough time to breathe. Even with just an extra 10 minutes, it could have been better, but because we had these incredible moments with the Toymaker and Unit, we never really got to see the effects on humanity and the world properly. We only got to see them really for only like a minute, and we didn't really get to explore the Toymaker fully. Even when the Doctor and Donna got separated, it was only for one scene each, and then they just found each other again. And it's because it had to be shared with the regeneration, or should I say bi-generation. And unfortunately, I think it weakened it. Let us see more of the Toymaker and the effect it had on the Doctor and Donna and humanity. I mean, they even brought back Mel, who just seemed so underused. Remember when a classic companion used to return? For Sarah Jane, it was an entire episode based around her. It was a massive deal. This time, it just felt like a cheap cameo because we have to have some sort of cameo because it is the 60th. Like, if she hadn't been there, I really wouldn't have noticed. So I do love these episodes, but they just didn't seem to have enough high stakes for anniversary level episodes. If they had been in any other context, I would have adored them, but not in this context. However, now we have the bi-generation, which arguably I think was the best bit at celebrating the 60 years. Do I like the idea of bi-generation? No, I absolutely hate it. I wish it didn't happen, and it definitely should never happen again. Because now the question is, whenever Ncuti Gatwa is in trouble or the universe is about to end and the Doctor can't stop it, I'm now purely going to be thinking, well, I'm just going to wait till Tennant returns in his TARDIS. Or even worse than that, if I don't like Ncuti's season, I'll always be jealous since I know we could have more of 14 and Donna. However, as a way to celebrate the 60th, I think it actually works really well without having to bring in any past Doctors. I actually think this is the highlight of the anniversary specials, because we all know that from Ncuti Gatwa's first episode, the show is kind of resetting. It's starting again at season 1. It's appearing on Disney Plus properly for the first time, so the show is heading into a whole new era. And not just a new era for a new Doctor, it is repeating what happened in 2005. So now we have 3 eras: Classic Who, New Who, and I'm going to call this new one Post-Modern Who. And so therefore, this 60th actually wasn't just about celebrating 60 years, but it was celebrating the end of New Who and the end of that era of the show. And I actually think it did that almost perfectly in these final last few scenes, bringing back New Who's favourite Doctor and companion duo, making countless references to all of New Who. Like, Classic Who was barely touched apart from Mel and the Toymaker, and of course the countless Easter eggs across the 3 episodes, but there was so much New Who. This 60th special was celebrating New Who. I mean, even just the Toymaker returning, running through all of the Doctor's main companions since 10, with Amy, Clara, Bill, and then the issues with the Flux, the mentions of the Timeless Child and the Flux. No matter how much I hated those concepts, they needed to be mentioned because they were so important. Calling Donna's daughter Rose, for crying out loud, all of these things were used to wrap up New Who. And then the bi-generation, which allowed the Doctor to actually have an ending. Because I don't think this show will ever end, like, especially with Disney behind it, it's not going to end anytime soon. And the huge thing is, how can you end a show that keeps on regenerating itself? And I do think this would be a way to end. And it's certainly the best way to end New Who. Having the Doctor finally come to terms with why he fights, why he saves the universe, and finally sitting back and staying put. Because especially with the New Who Doctors, they're constantly running away from everything. 9 from the Time War, 10 from just staying put, 11 from his reputation, 12 from dying, 13 from their history. And so having the Doctor finally rest and be happy actually made me quite emotional, and I loved it. I think especially for Tennant it works so well because he is the most sentimental Doctor. When he regenerated, he revisited all of his companions to say goodbye, and so to see him end his time with his best friend and feel finally free, it's the perfect way to end New Who. Like I say, with the most popular face the Doctor has ever had and the most popular companion. And I was really hoping for some science fiction reason as to why Ten's face returned, but I love how Donna puts it.
To come home.
And 14's reaction to her at the very end.
I've never been so happy in my life.
My only one nitpick with this is he definitely should have not been allowed to keep his TARDIS, because for crying out loud, now I'm going to think, why is 14 not returning to save the day? And I also think they should have made it clear that he can't regenerate, because then this could turn into a very messy, timeless child fugitive Doctor situation, which I really hope it doesn't. If they promise to leave it here and never pick it up again, never use Tennant again, unless it's for like another like anniversary special, and never like do By Generation again, then I think this is the perfect way to end New Who and to celebrate 60 years of the show. But anyway guys, that is the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, make sure that you smash that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Guys, let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of Doctor Who's 60th anniversary specials? Did you like the specials? Did you think they were underwhelming? Did you like the By Generation? Do you think it celebrated enough of the show? What do you think about it? Let me know all your thoughts down there. And as always, we've been here on Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.